This is The Language of Business with Greg Stoller.
He has over 25 years' experience in internet technologies as a management consultant, engineer, and analyst. And now he's parlayed those experiences into a mentor and advisor to entrepreneurs. His office, and this is my favorite part, is any coffee shop that's within driving distance. Ben Littauer, welcome to The Language of Business.
Thank you very much.
So,
good to be here.
It's good to have you here. What is an angel investor?
It's an affluent person who invests in, provides capital for business startups. The most important word there is individual, and that's what I think is most important about being an angel investor is we don't have responsibility to limited partners, we don't have fiduciary responsibility except perhaps to our spouses, and so we
the most important management team.
Right, we can invest for a variety of reasons, including emotional ones.
But prevailing wisdom says that any investment that's worth its weight in gold is going to go through multiple rounds of financing, you're going to go through dilution, etc. What is your incentive rationale for investing so early?
If I wanted to make money, I'd probably just leave it with my investment manager. So my primary motivation is actually to keep busy. I had my own company, I like giving back, and so going at this seed stage is where I think I can have the most impact. I started my own company. I've been playing with companies now for 5 years as a professional angel investor, and for longer than that as an informal advisor. So I think I have some value to bring, and where I can have the most impact is at the early stage when you're developing your idea and developing your business.
But it sounds like you're going to play a tennis game. What do you mean playing with companies? To what goal are you investing in them?
I think that I'm involved because I want to help out. A lot of my colleagues are involved for the money, and they may be better at it than I am, or they may be deluding themselves. We don't really know yet. But we're typically looking at this stage for an early exit, if we're angels, so that we see a smaller return, 3 to 5 times return on our money in 3 to 5 years. That's unlike a VC.
Is that considered to be an acceptable or a good rate of return? That's 3 to 5 times?
Oh, that's a very nice internal rate of return.
Okay.
So it looks good. It doesn't get you the big hits that you see from a Twitter or a Google, but it does get you enough money to keep playing, and we are always hoping for that outlier, that lottery ticket that brings back a Twitter return.
So let's assume, though, that you do find that lottery ticket, and a professional financier, venture capitalist, private equity company comes along and then wants to fund them in rounds 3, 4, or 5. Where does that leave you?
Well, we still have our little piece if we haven't been washed out. We hope to see a bump in valuation as we move along. So that's the hope. We do get washed out. I have a couple that have had that experience, but I've also had some that have had follow-on rounds where we live alongside the VCs quite happily.
Once you give these folks a check, do you say, good luck, I'll talk to you in a month? Or after you give them a check the next day, are you sitting with them around the board table or around the C-level suite, helping them plan it and run it, etc.?
Well, that varies greatly based on the investment. When I started doing this investment, I joined a couple of angel groups in the Boston area, and the reason I did that is I didn't really understand the investment landscape, and honestly, I didn't have that much broad business experience. So most of those deals early on, I was basically a follower. Since then, I've gained enough knowledge to become dangerous, and so I like to be more involved in more recent ones. So I have board seats on some of my investments, and I'm an informal advisor or a formal advisor to others.
So Ben, how do these companies find you, or how do you find them?
Well, I do a lot of mentoring. I also go on TV all the time. But
of course, always on The Language of Business.
I do a good deal of mentoring. I'm a mentor and a judge at Mass Challenge. I work with the Capital Network, TCN, here in Boston, and so I get out there. I never turn down a speaking opportunity, and the idea there is to get the deal flow. I want to see the companies early. Sometimes they're ready for funding, more often they're not, but I can help advise them, and I'm a risk junkie, so I like that truly early stage, and I think I add the most value at that stage. So by being visible, it's a conscious decision that I get out there and offer my mentorship to anybody who's willing to take it.
Respecting that every company, every industry, every deal is different, in general, what percentage of the equity are you buying into as an angel investor?
The rule of thumb in the angel groups, which is where I do most of my work, is that we'll take about 25 to 30% of the company. The deal size ranges from maybe $350,000 to $1.5 million, and obviously it's a bell curve, so there are some tails beyond that. But that's the rule of thumb. Very important to us is to make sure that the entrepreneur has enough skin left in the game, that they are motivated. And you spoke of further rounds down the road. We expect to see further funding down the road, even if it comes from us. And we want to make sure the entrepreneur has enough headroom in the company to stay motivated down the road as well.
And are there any specific terms at the angel level that are going to differ appreciably from those at the later stage rounds of financing?
No, they're structured much the same. The Angel Capital Association has published a set of terms that are based on the National Venture Capital Association terms. They're very similar. Equity, it's a preferred round usually. We will take some liquidation preference, usually 1x. I discourage us taking more than that on the theory that the next guy down the road is going to take more than that as well.
And for the benefit of our viewers, 1x means?
Well, that means that we get our money back first, and then we participate in the liquidation of the company. So we get, if I invest $10,000, I get $10,000 back, and then I get my percentage of the company after that. So it's a little bit of double dipping, and some entrepreneurs don't like that.
But at the end of the day, though, you guys are putting up the funding.
We're putting up the early funding, and we're hoping to get a risk-adjusted return that makes sense.
And I assume that all of you, if there are 10 of you in an angel investing group, you're going to share in those proceeds either proportionally or equally based on the amount of money you put in.
That's the idea, is that we buy shares of the company. Typically, we invest as individuals, although there are some funds in the area, but typically we're individuals, and we just take our pro rata share of the proceeds.
Ben Littauer, successful angel investor. So do you think hearing the phrase, "How can we help you," is an urban myth? How about receiving a return phone call after you only leave a single message? Believe it or not, those people in business do exist. And we're going to talk with one of them in Norwood, Massachusetts, Dan Weller and Weller Carpets, coming up next on Language of Business.